Good evening and welcome to the Monday, November 8th, 2021 Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review and a non-public session under RSA 91A:32A, compensation of an employee. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First items are the review and approval of consent items. We have an account payroll manifest of November 2nd, 2021 in the sum of $334,784.57 and November 9th, 2021 in the sum of $78,988.52. We have a payroll manifest of November 4th, 2021 in the sum of $60,384.47 and November 10th, 2021 in the sum of $62,848.43. We have 5 property tax abatements. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Lynch. All in favor? Mr. Larry.
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Is there any other business members would like to add this evening? Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. this evening. The first item of business is the October 25th, 2021 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review, and are there any comments or clarifications? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor? Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item is the Town Clerk Tax Collector's Office staffing. Mr. Brown.
Okay, as you recall, when the town clerk presented her budget to the board, she also presented an option for the board to consider, which would be to create 2 part-time positions in her department. So Terry's here this evening because this board never really formally discussed this. And as you know, we're at the point in time where we're putting together warrant articles. So if the board's going to support the creation of a part-time position, we need to agree to that and get it on the warrant. And I know I've stated this before to the budget committee, and I was stated to the selectmen that I believe that part-time positions that have no benefit should not be a warrant article. It's something that the Board of Selectmen has the authority, those positions, to create. I understand the citizens when we're creating full-time positions with health insurance, New Hampshire state retirement, that it's been a standard practice, unless there's an emergency, that you have a warrant article asking permission to create those full-time positions. But I've been on record before, and I just want to make sure I state that part-time positions without benefits, I don't believe they should be a warrant article. But so anyhow, with that, I have Terry go ahead and present her plan to you.
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. We discussed this last year. It was on the warrant. There was a warrant article last year for a full-time employee, which we in our office do not need. We need a part-time position. So if we have 2 part-time and 2 full-time positions, it makes it easier for training. It makes it easier for elections. Where the town is growing, for the past 17 years, I've done the elections on my own. It's getting to a point where I cannot do that anymore. The last September and November election, I had the deputy come in. We had to close down the office. So people could not come in to do their registrations or do whatever they had to do because the office was closed. And I had the deputy actually come and work the election with me because it was way too much for one person to do. We have over 7,000 voters. And like I said, it's too much for me to be getting reports ready, getting things ready for the selectmen to sign, and then helping the ballot clerks close out their things to sit down with the assistant moderator to count, their numbers and their books and get that stuff done. Plus we get the cleanup part. It's way too much for one person to do. With the new deputy that I had, she's been there for 6 months. She needs to do the training. There is training that she needs to do. And like I said, if by chance somebody's out or, as it is now, we are open. Mondays we're open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4. Monday mornings I am by myself because they come in at 10 o'clock. So I am there from 8 to 10. And it's the way things have changed with people working from home. It's a lot different now. We are very busy during lunch hours now, which we weren't before because people didn't live in town. So we're busier now during 11:30 and 1:30. We're busier Monday morning. I usually have a steady, either a line or a steady, group of people there on Monday mornings when I'm there, and they're still busy on Monday night. We have people right up until, we used to be closing at 3. Now we have people right up until 10 minutes before, which is when we take the last customer. And it's been a lot busier now. We have a lot of online registrations. We have, a lot of people paying taxes online. So to try and cover everything and make sure that there's more than one person in the office at a time, I think that it's probably best that we have another part-time person. So we, like I said, we have 2 full-time people and 2 part-time people.
Okay, thank you. Well, I for one know, based on the data you've shown us over the last year, do agree that we do need another employee in the office. Just the amount of workload that has gone through there has gone exponential. Mm-hmm. So I'm in favor of bringing a warrant for a part-time individual.
Yeah, I would echo Steve's thoughts. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in that office between car registrations and you're doing boats and RVs and ATVs and everything else, and property taxes twice a year.
And the dog licenses.
And the dog licenses.
Populations increased.
Yeah. There's no question that there's a workload there. I would be in favor of it. Are you?
Yeah,
you're looking for 20 hours a week?
2,000 dog licenses for this year.
2,000.
We had 200 extra dog tags last year. We ran out of dog tags last week. We have no more dog tags. We're still getting the rabies certificates from the vet of people that are getting the dogs.
There were a lot of COVID dogs.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of COVID dogs. So we're up to probably, I did my order for next year already for 2,000 dog tags. I have to order probably another 200 to 300 more dog tags.
And you're at the same staffing level you were over 10 years ago, right?
This is the same staffing level from when I started 17 years ago.
17, yeah. So, I mean, just with the growth of the town and everything else that's gone on, the amount of extra vehicles bought, animals and so forth, I mean, I think it's definitely a good warrant article to bring forward.
Is it 20 hours a week, Terry?
Yes.
I'm probably 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
And like I said, we do a lot more now. We do hunting and fishing licenses now. We do OHRV vehicles. We do boats now.
Marriage
pretty
licenses.
soon, the state's going to have us doing boats online as well. So, I mean, I'm trying to keep everything up to date so that people don't have to go somewhere else to, get these services. It's nice just to be able to go into town hall, register your car, register your dog, register your boat, get your fishing license, and a lot of people like that, and that's what we're trying to keep up with. But it's starting to get to the point where we have a lot more people.
I will agree with her on this. It's very important. I took over as a marriage counselor and was doing the licensing for her. Okay.
I was very sorry to that couple, whoever it was.
Doesn't help us.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
Is everybody in agreement? We should bring a warrant article forward?
I think it should be. I mean, I've been very public about my opinion that any position needs to be on the warrant article. So, and I voted against school budgets because
Part-timers.
they brought in people, mostly full-timers, but even though there was good budgets, it's a position I've taken and I'll stick to it. But I'll support this. I think this is great.
Ms. Queenan?
I think it's a critical function, daily elections and the dreaded taxes going out, but definitely it's a critical office. I think it has to be staffed properly.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Would there be any provisions for residency?
I think that if we should have someone that is within town. So I'm going to say yes to that because I would prefer to have someone from town so that we have the help that we need if
During
we
the
need those extra hands at the elections. Then we would have people there. If we can get someone from town, it's better for the office.
Okay, but I think you probably shouldn't handcuff yourself and put that as one of the criteria that you have to be a resident. Because you're really gonna, you'll narrow your pool of, potential employees.
I know, I agree. But again, if I have those two people working in the office, you know what I mean? If I can
Yep.
keep those people in the office, working the office, and myself and the deputy are working at the polls to take care of the elections, then I don't have to close down and everything is covered all the way around. Our biggest thing is what we do is it's the service to the town. And that's what we're just trying to make sure that we can do.
Okay, great. I think you have the support of the board to bring a part-time warrant article forward.
Okay,
Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
So Terry, would you get me the specifics on what the hourly rate is that you'd want to see this position compensated at and the hours? And then we'll
Yes. I'm
update.
gonna follow the procedure manual with the grade 5 and then the starting pay, the grade 5.
Okay, and then let me know the number of hours, and then we'll, we disclose all the costs in the warrant article.
Okay,
And typically, when we do this, we start it July 1st. Is that something you're still looking for?
yes. Yep,
As long as there's no presidential elections, we'll be all right.
All right.
not this year.
Great. Thank you very much.
Stay tuned.
Thank you,
Have a good evening. Be well.
thank you.
Drink water.
Bye-bye.
Feel better.
Next, we have deliberative session date and location. Mr. Brown.
All right, it's this time of the year we start talking about deliberative session. I did send an email out to moderator, our town clerk, tax collector, school officials to start this conversation. Last year we had a joint session, and coming off that, there was a lot of positive comments from our cable operators, just everyone in general, that they thought having a joint session was beneficial. It worked out fine. So in corresponding with the school, I learned that they've already gone ahead and set their deliberative session for February the 5th. They plan on holding it in the gymnasium, again, the same location we had last year. And they plan on going first this year at 10 o'clock, which is my understanding that once upon a time, it was always rotated back and forth. And for whatever reason, the town has always gone first, but we never done a joint session either. So we would usually do it the first Saturday, and then the school would do the second Saturday. But that was an agreement. I think the Saturdays used to be flipped as well.
Did they check with you before setting the date or did they just set it?
they've had this discussion. They went ahead and set the date and pretty much secured the gymnasium. So I learned about this through an email that I sent out.
So they set the date whether or not it was convenient for the town at all.
No, it's their meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
So-
one time we used to rotate,
So what I'm looking for is if we want to continue to pursue a joint session. Feedback I got from LCTV staff is that it was easier for them.
Mhm.
But the location, the town moderator actually brought up that the location, the bleachers aren't always the most comfortable, seats in the house. So the auditorium, the moderator was kind of pushing towards that. But we don't know where we're going to be also. I mean, you don't know what the situation is going to be in February as far as COVID, and the auditorium, the school had that closed due to the COVID. So I think that's why we're all ended up in the gymnasium to be able to have the proper spacing and everything. So I guess the biggest decision to be made this evening is if we want to continue with a joint effort here and piggyback on to the Saturday, February the 5th, and we would go second. I don't know what that means. Probably we would start at 1 o'clock. Or if we're going to, do the February 12th thing. I prefer to do the joint. And
Yeah, I mean, I really like to join. It's good for the budget committee also. I think it's great for the residents.
Makes sense.
It does.
the good thing about having the 5th and having a joint session is that if for any reason we have a weather event or any catastrophic
You still got
event,
another week.
you still have the last day that you can hold a deliberative session would be the Saturday, February 12th. And so when the school or the town has always picked that last possible Saturday, we sort of put ourselves out there due to,
Yeah.
weather conditions.
And I do agree with the moderator. The auditorium is more comfortable than sitting on bleach, especially for the residents that do attend both sessions. I mean, that's a long time to be sitting on.
They put chairs out there, didn't they?
They had a couple chairs on the floor, if I remember correctly, spaced, and everybody else was up in the.
Yeah.
So we can, I can reach out to the school and I'm actually meeting with Dr. Jetty tomorrow. I can talk to him a little bit about what the thought process was on the possibility of the auditorium as we get closer and closer. That decision
Too close.
can be made before, it has to be made before you post the warrant. So,
The auditorium, in my point, is going to be too tight.
Well,
The
historically, we don't get a lot of people at deliberative, unfortunately.
I think if the school is going to use the gym for the purposes of the IT folks and so forth, we should also
Oh,
use
yeah.
the
I
gym.
agree.
Correct. It should be a common venue.
So 1 o'clock on February 5th, I'll make that motion.
A second.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's, a second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Lynch? Cushions. All those in favor, Mr. Larry?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. But I think if you could work on the venue, that'd be great. Next is the 2022 draft warrant articles, Mr. Brown.
all right. So I won't go through all the articles tonight, but our next meeting will definitely be having a focused discussion because budget committee will be meeting in December and they're gonna need to know what articles we're gonna be supporting. I'll be adding the part-time clerk to the warrant. I had sent out correspondence to all the boards and committees. So one of the things that's going to happen at your next meeting, we're going to have the fire department in here talking to you about the fire engine status. I believe the whole fire truck committee will be here. So that will, be very helpful as you decide what to do with the 2 fire engine warrant articles. I'm meeting with the rec commission tomorrow night, so we'll talk to them about the parking lot that's on there. And the rest are just, like I said, just placeholders based on the current capital improvements plan.
Okay, great. And you had another one there, what conservation was bringing forward, you
So
thought?
conservation, I did have placeholders there, but they had a meeting. There's two things that they're requesting. One, as we know, the conservation fund currently right now has a $1 million cap. So the land use change tax revenues, when they go to that fund, once the fund reached $1 million, any funds above and beyond the cap were held, I'll say, in escrow by the Board of Selectmen until our next meeting when we can decide what to do with it. One, they want that $1 million cap lifted to $2.5 million. And second, the amount of money that exceeded the cap this year and we're holding in escrow, they'd like to have a warrant article requesting that those funds be raised and appropriated and placed into the Farmland Protection Fund. So we have a Farmland Protection Fund. It's got about 120,000, 125,000 in it right now. The Board of Selectmen are agents to expend. So that what they thought, they didn't want to sort of confuse the voters with the two, warrant articles. So they thought it was best that we take those funds, put it in the farmland protection. We know that there's a lot of farmland in town that we're, fearful that could be one day developed. And it'd be good to kind of build that fund up. Two, there was a thought that if there was a grant opportunity, then having a couple different pots of funding coming from the town, one being conservation fund, another being a farmland protection capital reserve fund, it can help leverage some of those state and federal funds when you're putting together a competitive grant application, showing that you got multiple matching sources coming. So when you can demonstrate that in a grant application, again, they're usually very competitive. It's very helpful. So it's kind of strategic too, putting those funds in the farmland protection.
Good, thank you. Anything else on the warrant articles?
That's it.
Okay. Look forward to discussing them at the next meeting.
Also, anything you guys read or see or something you see missing here that you have your own personal thought on, whatever, please let me know. I'll work with you and, we'll get things worded up and so we can present. But I think we're all pretty much on the same page right now.
Okay, the next item we have is the resignation of Sean Flynn, CIP Committee. Mr. Brown.
So unfortunately, Mr. Flynn did provide his resignation notice. He was one of our citizens, members at large, a representative on our capital improvement committee, a great member, but due to work conflicts, he felt that he could not represent the citizens on the committee any further. So
Yeah, Sean was great. Gave a lot of good input and some good thought behind it. So we'll have to go out and recruit another citizen.
Mhm.
Put something out on social media and see if we can get any other individuals that like to be part of the capital improvement committee as a citizens rep. Do we have a motion to accept Sean Flynn's resignation?
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor, Mr. Larry, Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. And Troy, if you could send him a letter on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we have the resignation of Andy Collins, Recreation Member. Mr. Brown.
okay, and I think we all know Andy's been on the rec commission for many years.
Have we figured out how many years? Because we were
I don't
talking
know.
about that.
I
the
haven't
last
figured it
meeting.
out, but he's been there for a long time. So, but I guess the time has come when he's decided he's going to be stepping down. So I received notice through the Chairman Gannon, that
Mhm.
Andy had submitted his resignation.
He's done a great job over the years for the town. Really good job. Do we have a motion to accept the resignation of Andy Collins? We have a motion by Mr. Larry.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Larry.
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Also, Troy, if you could send him a letter, that'd be fantastic. The next, we have the appointment of Judy Brennan, regular member, term to expire March 2020, and this is for the Recreation Commission.
That's correct. And again, I was contacted by Chairman Gannon of the Rec Commission, notifying me that the board supports the appointment of Judy Brennan as a regular full member. She currently serves as an alternate.
Yep, 700. Do we have a motion to accept the appointment of Judy Brennan?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Queenan,
Second.
second by Mr. LaSalle's. All those in favor, Mr. Larry?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's? Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. It's going to be good to have Judy on as a full member. We had no other business this evening. Since it is 7:05 p.m., I'd like to open it up to public input. Are there any members of the public that would like to provide input this evening? Seeing there's none in the room, we'll close public input and go on with town administrator report. Mr. Brown.
All right, real quickly, just a reminder that this coming Thursday is Veterans Day and the town offices will be closed. I want to thank all the veterans recently for all the work and effort they've done in securing new flags. They worked all Saturday and put up the flags on the existing brackets, installed new brackets, and we have flags now all the way from Pinecrest to Hillcrest.
It looks fantastic.
And they're still working on.
A couple short.
I think
Well, they
seven.
came up a little short because they alternated across the street a couple of times. So, but it looks good.
It looks beautiful.
Their
It really
ultimate
does.
plan is to actually do a section here at the town center on Albuquerque and Hillcrest. So just going a few poles in each
That
direction.
is great.
And
I
so
think,
that,
I think long-term, we're talking about doing all of 3A.
Yeah, from town line to town line.
And
There's a
I'd
that's-
like to
very
get to-
active veterans group, and they're doing some fundraisers and so forth. So
Yep.
Yeah, selling raffle tickets right now for some good memorabilia, sports
Some good
memorabilia.
gigs. Yep, really good stuff. Rich, do you still have some?
I do.
Yeah, and I have some too. Is
Yeah,
there
and there's some
yours?
here. There's some here also that can be bought right at town
Anyone
hall.
that's looking, there are out there. They're gonna do well.
I'll tell you, when they get mobilized, they get things done.
Yep.
They really do.
It's a good group. And they have donuts in their meetings.
I thought it was homemade muffins last time.
It was
Yep.
from the middle school.
I'm going to be attending the Recreation Commission meeting tomorrow night. I've asked to be put on the agenda. I want to talk about the parking lot, the capital improvements plan, but I also wanted to talk, I just want the board to be aware that I want to talk in general to the Rec Commission about some long-term planning in regards to Roy Memorial Park, Talent Hall, and just seeing if we can tie in sort of an actual master plan, because I keep hearing from people about the parking lot. We hear about the condition of Talent Hall. Some of my, just observing some of the things that are going on down there with the gate being locked and the position of the dumpsters and the toilets. And I just think it's a good time to really sit down and have a conversation with the Rec Commission, see if we can get sort of a master plan put together on tackling some of the issues down there. It's such a beautiful park, great facility. And I think some things can happen fairly quickly. Some things are going to, take more time. So I look forward to that meeting. I talked to Chairman Gannon about it. He agreed that it'd be a good discussion. So I wanted to let you know, be there.
Troy?
Yes.
Could you make sure that you include the pond itself?
Because there is that issue that
Still
we
the
had about the
milfoil.
milfoil is
Mhm.
the beach, and I just that discussion. I totally agree that I'll be bringing up, because people still ask, what are we doing with the pond?
Is it going to be a swimming hole? Is it going to be a frog pond? What are we actually going to do with it?
The other thing is that you may want to touch base with Mr. Husband, who lives on the pond, and he's been very active in the quality of the pond itself. And he was formerly a member of the Conservation Commission, and he's actually taken the state to court a couple of times, and he was very much involved with the PFOA committee. So maybe you should at least touch base with him. And so that I would hope that any long-term plans that we have for the pond itself, that we take him into consideration.
Yeah, he's a direct, I think he's a direct abutter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his own beach.
His own dock. We also received word, I know the Conservation Commission received notice and they were able to get some information out on social media, but the state forest, they were to mobilize equipment today and start some activity at the state forest tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to go see if the equipment arrived, but I did see some signage up where the trails were flagged off and there's signs saying trails are closed. So the state forest will be closed. Good portion of it. I guess there's still some access that you can get through. There where Jason Brennan lives. What's the name of that road?
Aldrich.
And of course, if you know the back way in through Musquash, you can still probably get into a certain section too. But for the most part, it's best for our residents to stay away from the state forest, let the timber people do their work. It's a managed cut. There'll be, as we were briefed about this about, I don't know, 8 months ago. And, one of the problems is the red pine, I believe it was, has a disease. And it's at this point in time where they can actually harvest these trees and they have some value. They can still be turned into timber, some board. If it wait too long, board, then the trees would be worthless and they would just be chipped up. So
It's all along the road. It's for use of poles. That's
Yeah.
where they grew it. They planted that.
yeah, so
Pole
you can
pine.
see them all when you're in the woods. You can see how
Yep.
they're
They're
all
all pole
planted.
pines.
So.
I saw on social media where there are people questioning them doing this while it's still hunting season.
They actually, that was when we were briefed. They worked from what I was told, they worked with the hunters and they said that timber harvesting is something that's very common. They can get along with hunters. It's not really a problem. It's more of the recreational users on the mountain bikes, walkers, dog walkers that they like to try to keep them out. I'm usually in the state forest quite a bit, and I know I personally ran into some hunters, and we were talking. They were this was like a month ago, and they were fully aware of the cut coming, and they were actually looking forward to it because they said it actually opens up.
They can better visibility.
It improves their, the habitat. So that's happening. I don't know. It sounded like when they gave us a presentation, this was going to go on through the winter. So it's not something that's going to be quick. I forwarded some information to the board regarding the Hudson Vfw. They are on Labor Day, on Veterans Day. They are having their, I guess they're having an open house for their new facility. And they're also having their loyalty day. And our fire chief, Frank Freitzel, has been nominated by the fire department to receive an award. So we've all been invited to attend. And I've sent that
Congratulations,
information
Chief.
out to you. I know everyone's got different schedules, so hopefully we'll have some good representation there. Again, if you don't have that information, let me know. I sent it out, but I can resend it again. I wanted to touch base with you, COVID-19. So we haven't had much discussion about that recently. It's been nice to have a break, but I will let you know that we were notified that the library has had, a positive test. We've had a positive test here at the town office. And so we're starting to be aware that this is, it hasn't gone away. It's still around.
Yeah, I think we're at 24. It's the highest in a while
Yeah. So
In the town?
in the town. 24? Yeah.
7 new.
As of right now, the board really, we haven't had much discussion about this. It hasn't had a big impact on our operation. But when I learned about the COVID positive test, we did inform the employee that they would remain, in accordance with this guidelines and isolate and that we would continue to pay them. We don't want them in this building. When they first learned about this, if you read the guidance when you had a potential exposure, you literally could come with a mask on but not after the positive test. So that's the policy going forward, is that we'll work with our employees and make sure they don't lose pay. But we want them to stay home. We want them to isolate. We want them to get well and get them to come back. We don't want the COVID in the building.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
We don't have enough employees. We can't afford the people being down. And then
We wish the employees best and recover quickly.
Absolutely.
And the last thing was back to our veterans group. They, along with the flags on 3A, they're very interested in trying to see if they could coordinate the installation of flags, a flagpole at our cemeteries, Pine Hill and Hillcrest. So I have sent an email out to selectmen, cemetery trustees, the veterans, and trying to coordinate a meeting to have a discussion about this. And I know that we've had discussions prior and we've had some correspondence. But I think the goal here is to have a face-to-face meeting, see if there is an ability here to put these poles up. And I know the veterans are very excited about doing it. I think the cemetery trustees, rightfully so, have concerns. And so the next step is face-to-face meeting.
They set some dates where they're going to be available.
Yeah, I
too,
saw that.
so we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
So that was good, though.
Yeah.
So
It is a great idea. The cemetery trustees have been the guardians for the cemeteries for a long, long time. And I think it's very important that they get their input and they listen to their input. And I think they'll come to an agreement. It's just, it's going to be,
All new.
They're going to have to work together. But it's a great idea.
Okay. Anything else?
that's it.
Okay. Selectmen reports. Ms. Queenan.
Planning Board will be meeting November 16th, which is a Tuesday, 7:00 p.m. here at the Town Hall. We'll be going over our land use laws and permitted uses, trying to get some warrant articles going. The National Regional Planning Commission meets December 15th. That's a Wednesday. We're not sure where the meeting place is yet. We're keeping an eye on COVID.
Okay,
Yep.
great. From emergency management team, we have not been meeting, which is a wonderful thing. Recreation Commission, we have our next meeting tomorrow evening, as you heard. Town Administrator Brown will be there. Also, this board did take action to release impact fees to have a parking lot created. Over there, we do, over at Jeff Lane, we have funds that are left over, and we'd like to use them to finish the next completion over there, which is the batting cages. So as long as the board has no objections, we'll continue to use the impact fees that were released to get that job done.
How much do you have left?
About $30,000. So we have a lot of projects we can get done still. But we had released those monies for the parking lot, and we were able to have the parking lot done at a much lower rate.
Can you use some of that at the Dara parking lot when that comes about?
No, these were earmarked for Jeff Lane. So what happens if they don't get consumed?
So if once you close out your Jeff Lane account,
Yep.
then we would, if there is a balance of unused impact
Transfer
fees,
back.
you'll repurpose them
Oh, that's
for
good.
another rec purpose.
Great. So that'd be good. Yeah, be really good.
A deep fryer would be in order. Those deep fryers in the concession stand take
Yeah.
forever.
So if nobody has any objection, we'll get the batting cage done, and then we'll return all the.
Then you're done.
Yeah, that project will be done.
And you close it out, and the balance will
And
return.
the last thing to do is wire the scoreboards, and we already have that being done by a local electrician for the volunteers time. And we already have the material for it, so we'll be able to put a fork in that one and call it done after 5 years,
Oh, yeah.
4 years, 5 years.
After 5 years.
Yeah, but it looks great out there. No, if you haven't been out there, you should go see it. It looks fantastic. School Facility Improvement Committee, I believe there is a GMS reimagining tomorrow evening at 6:30. That's open to the public for input of the community on thoughts they want with the new GMS school. And Capital Improvement Committee, we did not meet in November. We're earmarking the first Monday of December, Troy,
Yes.
for that. So that's all for me. Mr. Larry.
Budget committee, going through the school budget process now. We met last week and they're actually meeting tonight, but I felt that I was more needed here and I can get a big bowl of popcorn and watch that one on YouTube at a later date. But the process is starting over there now.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Lynch?
Conservation, we met last Thursday. It was a good meeting. They're looking at purchasing, sharing the rec commission and the conservation commission, purchasing a tractor of some sorts with a mower bucket to do some of the work that needs to be done, especially raking. Take care of the beaches down there as well. Clean up. It's a good use of a piece of equipment. And you get a brush hog on it too. You can clear brush around.
Great.
Okay, that's what they're doing now. Chair sitting over there right now.
Don't mess up. Don't forget anything.
Okay.
Like a weed whacker.
They talk about the highway is looking for a place to put their snow blower, so they're going to look at the shed over here. Matt's got some cleansing to do in there. Okay.
He's got a nice new trailer now to put stuff in, so,
Well, that's even good. You got a place to put it now.
yeah.
Basically, it was a good meeting. It's all small stuff that's being handled.
Great.
Okay.
Mr. LaSalle's?
I have nothing to report. The Heritage Commission hasn't, I think the last meeting, I actually was ill and I did not go.
Mhm.
So I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Well, that concludes our public sessions for this evening. We do have two non-public sessions. One is RSA 91-A:3 2A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee. And a second one under the same RSA 91-A:3 2A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation for a public employee.
One thing before we go non-public, I
Sure.
would like to report that one side of the old town hall has been completed.
Good job. And it looks beautiful.
It's a side that the sun doesn't shine on, though.
But it's the worst side, it was the worst side of the building.
North side always.
They're the first one for us.
It took 11 days to complete it, working days.
Could you change the color to red?
Spoken like a true Republican.
Do we have a motion to go into non-public?
So
We have a motion by Mr. Leary. Roll call vote. Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Mr. Leary.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's. We are now in non-public as while we do not anticipate the need to return to a public session following the non-public session for any other reason than to adjourn the meeting, we reserve the right to do so if a non-public session necessitates the board taking action in public. We're now going into non-public. Thank you for watching, and we hope everybody has a wonderful evening.